Open tabs, margin notes, highlighter, bleed through quotes, research minds, steady eye patterns only she can note. I-90 fog, whispering under wheels, skyline, afterglow, 2 states, packed rooms, quiet minds that know, no sign needed out front. They circle to her voice, questions rise before she starts, curiosity by choice. She pivots mid-lecture, checks who's leaning in close. Say the part you skip out loud, that's where the learning goes. Heads home with the speakers up, Biggie in the background, monster mapping theories while the city slows down. She teaches the why behind the crime, the hurt behind the face, Philly in her backbone, psychology in her grace. Don't let the hype fool you, she stands 10 stories tall. She don't just teach the lesson, she teaches you through it all. Late nights with case files open, notes in the margin glow. She's showing you your story's roots, so you can choose where to go. Yeah. Biggie quotes inside the slides, right next to coping skills. Spread love between the lines of how a nervous system feels. Long days, quiet grit, humor in the punchlines. You are more than this moment, written 10 times, old assessments in a folder, ink dust on the sleeve. She can map anxious attachment before you know you grieve. 1 foot in Jersey lecture halls, 1 on the Philly street. Home is where she learned to fight, classes where we don't repeat. Grown kids texting check-ins, pride she doesn't post. She teaches minds all day, then goes in mother's most. Case files, true crime, mind behind the scenes. She doesn't tell you what they did, she shows you what it means. Your story is not your diagnosis. You are allowed to rewrite it.
Hi everyone. Okay, why am I so far? There we go. I put my microphone on. I remembered. Hi everyone, happy Saturday. How about there's a big ass blanket and it's like hot out. Anyway, how we doing? How's everyone doing? Did anybody get to see the Netflix? I had to come live with it. My husband even had a visceral reaction. Rye, what do you think about Mackenzie? Rye? Oh, are you asleep? My bad. I said, what do you think about Mackenzie? He definitely was like, is she serious? But I know a bunch of people had different reactions, so we're going to talk about it today, okay? Let me turn this on. Meanwhile, the poor guy just fell asleep and I woke him up. Whoops. Okay, who's here? Let's see who's here. Look at all you guys coming in. Welcome. Happy Saturday. It's nice and sunny out over here. Hopefully you guys have good weather too. I was at my daughter's game and it was like pretty warm out. I was going to come on last night, you guys, but I got my summer class starts on Monday, so I had to get my grades in, and then I had to do an entire summer class, like prepare it, and I started it all from scratch. So my family violence class has been updated. So let's talk about Mackenzie. There's so much to talk about here, you guys. So for one, how about this? If you saw the Netflix called The Crash, it just came out yesterday. Put a 1 in chat. Put a 2 in chat if you have not seen it. I just want to know like if people have seen it or not. So a 1 if you've seen it, a 2 if you have not seen it. So I can see where you guys are at. So we have some 1s. Well, we got Cuffy's got the 1s. Oh, Cuffy said it was so good. You guys. So this is the deal. Hi, Fancy Nancy. Hi, Cubic. Cubic, are you new to us? If so, well, welcome either way, but welcome. Harlot, how are you, Harlot? We missed you the other night. I think you missed, like, your first live ever, Harlot, which is, like, huge. Not, like, huge that you missed it, like, huge that you've been able to make every single live, pretty much. Cuff U's here, Fancy Nancy's here. I think I already said Fancy Nancy, but I like just saying that, so I said it again. Ooh, what am I doing over here? Okay, you guys coming in. I know I saw someone else. Casey, I think I said hi to you, Case. All right, if I missed anybody, I'll catch you, I'm sure. So let's talk about it. Okay, So I don't even know. Well, I do know where to start. Ready for this? So you guys have to see it. This is the thing. If you have not seen it, you don't have to think like I'm going to ruin anything here, because, I mean, Cuff You could, and I think Cuff You and Fancy Nancy, I think, said they saw it. But they could probably tell you, as far as like, there wasn't anything where you were like, oh my gosh, this is new. Like, it wasn't anything like that. However, we do hear from Mackenzie for the first time. So Mackenzie Shirilla speaks for the first time. And Netflix interviewed her parents, Rosie. Do you guys remember Rosie? Rosie was in it. Her friend. One of the males from, like, that they grew up with. I can't think of his name right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. And then they interviewed Angelo, I think it was, the sister, Dom's sister, who Plunder gets confused with his mom. So Plunder kept confusing the two. I believe it's because they have the same name. So I think Plunder was getting confused, and then she thought that Dom's mom and the one, you know, that body cam that I showed before with Dom's mom where she's hysterical. Bubba, that's it. Thank you, Fancy Nancy. Where she's hysterical, that is Dom's mom, the one on the porch where she's hysterical. The woman that was in last night's documentary was Dom's sister. So there's like 7 siblings. So he was a lot younger. So I think she was getting confused because it's his older sister, and then the mom and the dad was being interviewed. So I think she was just confusing it, which is no big deal. Who doesn't confuse things sometimes, right? So, but just in case you did see Plunders, I did want to, and you didn't see the Netflix, I did want to, clear that up. So the person that is hysterical, that's crying on the ground in the body cam videos, that is Dom's mom. The one that was in the Netflix documentary is Dom's sister, and she was with the dad who was also being interviewed. Mackenzie's parents are in this, right? I think I was most surprised to see Mackenzie's parents and Mackenzie, right? Because we all hear her mom all the time on the jail call saying, Mackenzie, we can't talk about it. Don't talk about it. I don't want them to, know if you... What did she say? I don't want them to know if you take a shit or whatever. She was like, remember the mom would like say all that. So I was so surprised that the mom was allowing this. Now, let me say this, you guys. So Mackenzie's mom makes you cringe. That's so funny. Dom's sister and dad broke your heart. You know what broke my heart about Dom's sister and dad, you guys, was that they were on Mackenzie's side at first. So at some point, picture them, they start out by sitting on Mackenzie's side with her family, and by the end, they end up on the other side. So, and you know what else was heartbreaking that I didn't realize? So it wasn't new information, I just didn't realize like this part, but apparently the victims' families saw the crash video for the first time in court together, which I didn't know if that was weird, right? Like, why didn't they see it before? But they show in the documentary, they show the victims' families' faces while they're being shown this, and like you just see them like they're just horrified by it. And the dad and the sister speak on that. Oh, they also interviewed Davion's sister. Is her name Davion, or it's something close to Davion? It's like Devon. I forget. I can't say it right. So let's just say Davion's sister. I do apologize if she ever does see this. And then we see Davion's parents. The other sister did not speak. Okay. So we then see Davion's parents. Let's see. Yeah, Drew saw it for the first time too. It's like, I feel like when you see it, Ryan even was like, what the? I believe he saw it for the first time in the documentary, but he was like cursing the entire documentary. He was like, is this like for real? So the documentary like got him like annoyed, where there were other people, and a couple people had sent me messages about this, that looked at the documentary, and started to get confused, not knowing if their hate for Mackenzie before this was as valid now. And I think part of that was due to things like, and I know for me, see, I've always had the same feelings about Mackenzie. So my feelings did not change from this documentary, and I'm going to get into that so I can share with you what I mean. And of course, why I do this, I'll be pulling up my slides because you know I made slides. So just so that I didn't forget any key points, because I felt like there was so much in this documentary that was important that we should go over. And again, not that there was anything that was like, oh, well, like this is brand new. We're going to, we need to figure, like, whatever the case may be. I didn't think that. However, I do have quite a few opinions, for lack of a better term, about this. Okay. So, and I hope that even if we all have differences of opinion, that we could all be respectful of each other's opinions and stuff like that, because everybody's opinions could go up and down. There's some people that are going to think she's like 100% guilty. There's going to be other people that think she's like 100% not guilty. So we're going to see everything and everything in between. So let's just all treat each other with dignity and respect, and we should be okay. All right. All right, here we go. It's uploading. Okay, my slides are uploading. So, and in the spirit of the young kids, I've been making them very colorful, but I made my slides colorful. So they're uploading now, they're processing, they're almost done. I kept them pretty, not brief in the sense that there's only a few, but brief in the sense that I'll try to go through them quicker. I never know if you guys are into them or not, so if I could get feedback, that would be amazing. Hi, Tony. How you doing? Come on in. And whoever else is here. All right, you guys, I think they're uploaded. So here goes my fancy Nancy notes, okay? I don't know why I just said fancy Nancy, but these are my notes. And you guys, like, wow, okay? That's all I gotta say. Oh, wait, let me move this out of the way. Well, I guess for the next one, wait, let's see, is it gonna be in the way? Oh, no, I think it goes behind it. We're good. I don't know. It might go off and on. I don't know how to get that off at the moment. Oh, maybe I could bring it to the other side. We'll put it right here. I'm just putting it back here, you guys. I don't know what to tell us. Okay, so the crash. Mackenzie speaks. In accident or intent. So we're going to go over this. The Crash is the name of the documentary, and it was done by Netflix. They did a really good job of being able to interview the people that were affected by this, right? Including Mackenzie Shirilla. Wait till we get into this. And yes, disclaimer, nobody's diagnosing anybody today. If anything, we're going over very general things that anybody could point out. So over here, this is our thesis, right? I always have my thesis or my idea here. So this is for the live tonight. A voice is not the same thing as verification, you guys, right? So this is my voice. This is my opinion. Just remember that. That doesn't mean that I am 100% correct. Make sure you're doing your own, your own research before you ever decide whether you think something is true or false. Again, but I just know that I do a lot of research and preparation for these. So we're going to look at through a document lens. The documentary lens. I have watched it. I watched it twice already. I don't know how many times anybody else has watched it. I could watch it a third or fourth time, to be honest with you, and I would probably find more things that I didn't see the first two times. So there was a court lens, right? Because the court lens is different than oh, you love the three lenses? Thanks, Queen. So there's the court lens. So it's like, what did the evidence provide? So if you guys see just through these two lenses, we have a feeling, and then we have like the facts of the case, but then we have a psychology lens. So why narratives persuade people? So this is going to explain why some of you went into it thinking one thing last night and came out maybe not thinking something totally different, but your mind may have changed. Now, let me tell you, if that happened to you, congratulations. That's called learning, right? That's learning. That is learning. Learning is something that happens in real time, and it's when when we have a permanent change, right, in our behaviors or thought process due to something I'm trying to think of another word for learning, something that we've processed in some way, right? So whether it be the documentary, whether it be court documents, whatever the case may be. So we need to remember though, remorse is not measured by how convincing someone sounds on camera. So a few people, I think when they heard Mackenzie last night, they might have had a little bit of like a, oh wow, maybe she's not like evil type thing. And we're going to see, I've never thought that about Mackenzie, but I've also not thought that she was innocent, if you will. But I'm going to talk about how I think developmental psychology can really explain a lot of what we saw that night and why I don't think Mackenzie's getting out in 15 years. Okay. So, I should have watched it with you. We still can. Why can't we? I don't think we could do it on YouTube because my whole channel would get taken down, but could we do something like that on Discord, or will we get flagged there too? Let me know though. We can do that in Discord. Thank you, Cuff You read my mind. So yeah, I would totally do that with you guys, and then like speak in real time while we're watching it. That would be fun actually. So here we go, you guys. Listen to this, right? So we're going to try to explain behavior, not excuse it. And we're going to try to stay victim-centered. So I'm going to keep coming back to Dom and Davion because the two lives here that were lost, they do not become, background noise. I don't want them to become cargo, as they said in the trial. I thought that was horrible. Okay. How long is the Netflix doc? It's about an hour and a half. It's approximately an hour and a half. And it was done well. I mean, Netflix did a good job, in my opinion. So, okay, here goes the timeline. On July 31st, 2022, that's the date of the crash in Strongsville. Dominic and Davion were both killed. Now, they believe that Dominic was killed on the spot. Unfortunately, I've watched that police body cam, and I have a really good memory, and I can clearly hear it in my head where the guy says it looks like his neck was broke and that he was gone. Davion, on the other hand, they thought was gone right away, but what they found was he still had a very shallow heartbeat when the ambulance came. It was while they were taking him from the car to the ambulance, taking him out of the car, that they said that he did pass. So why is that important to me? Well, because that means, do you guys remember, and again, if you haven't seen the body cam with me, we can watch it again, or you can look back with my old lives, but we definitely watched the body cam. And what that says to me really is that when Mackenzie's in the ambulance at the one point, she literally asks, how's Davion? She doesn't ask how Dom is. And I always was like, that was weird. I, if anything, would have said that I would have guessed if someone said that she asked for one of the two people, I would have put my money on Dom, but it was Davion. I wonder, because she eventually passes out too, and they revive her. But do you guys think that for the few hours in between while the car was sitting there, that she was able to communicate with Davion? Not that they were sitting there talking or anything, but that she knew that Davion was alive and not Dom, because why would she just ask for how Davion was? So that was on July 31st, 2022, you guys. It was around 5 a.m. In 2023, there was a trial. The judge found intent after a bench trial. Why do I think this is significant? Oh no, Cuff You says no. Okay, that's good to know, because that kind of haunted me a little bit. Was Davion alive for hours, or was he passed out? Because if he was alive, that's just so heartbreaking. Not alive, he was alive, you know what I meant. I meant conscious, that's the word I was looking for. So yes, the body cam was an awful case, right? So you guys, we all have, touch wood that nobody has to use it, but we all have our right to a trial, and we all have the right to either be tried by our peers or by the judge. Mackenzie, for whatever reason, her lawyer and her mom, because her mom tells her in the jail call that she thinks she made the right decision and da 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 da. I don't think it was the right decision. If you guys think that it worked in her benefit, like, not that it worked in her benefit, obviously didn't. She was found guilty. But if you were in Mackenzie's shoes, which we're not, but if you were, put a 1 in chat if you would have wanted a bench trial. So where it was just a judge. So a 1 for a bench trial, a 2 for a jury trial. What would you have preferred if it was you or a loved one? Would you have preferred a bench trial or a jury trial? I say a jury trial. I don't know why. Yeah, jury, right? Because I feel like a jury of your peers, one, they don't know the law like the judge does, right? So, we have, Cubic says 1. That's interesting, Cubic. So you would have went with the judge too. Well, I'm talking about this crime, Harlot. If it was this crime. Most of us would say 2. I would say 2 too. So I would also want to be judged against my peers, because this is the thing. We only have to convince one peer that it might have been an accident, right? So there you go, Fancy Nancy. That's right. So, and it doesn't even mean that it's a mistrial if you have one person. It's when you can't convince, all 12. Well, I guess that would be if you have one person, right? But sometimes we have one person, and then talking through it, everybody gets on board with the same thing. So you're more likely to get convicted, in my opinion, if it's just a judge, because that judge knows the law. And I feel like the judge, especially a judge that's been sitting on the bench for years or decades, they've seen so much of this that their heartstrings aren't going to get pulled as much as like somebody on a jury. Maybe they're young, maybe they're older, maybe they have a kid that's 17 years old and they're thinking like, oh shit, like, I don't know exactly what happened, but if something like this happened to my niece or, child or whatever the case may be, that I would want blah, blah, blah. So I just think that would have worked out in her benefit. I don't know if she has, another thing is, right, because I was going to say, I don't know if she has a case for appeal on that, but what about the fact, you guys, and they tell us again in the documentary, that her attorneys filed her appeal 1 day after the appeal, their last day. So her appeal was denied, not for any other reason than she didn't file it on time. I mean, how fucking furious. I couldn't imagine if, oh my God. Anyway, so in August of 2023, you guys, there were 2 concurrent 15 to life sentences. Concurrent just meaning that the judge found her guilty and then sentenced her to 15 to life for both Davion and then 15 to life for Dominic. She's doing it concurrently, just meaning that she's, doing it at the same time. So in 15 years, she is eligible for parole. I believe that's in 11 more years. If my memory serves me correctly, in 2037 is when, November of 2037 is when she becomes, I'm looking up, but that's literally me looking into my thought process. But that's when I believe, if anybody knows different, let me know, but I believe that that's her first chance at parole. Why do I think she's not getting parole? I'll tell you in a minute. May 2026 Netflix documentary adds a prison interview. So again, this is the first time we see her from her prison talking, and I think there were a few things there. So I think although she might have pulled on a few people's heartstrings, I also think, oh no, look at this. I'll fix all this, you guys, before I add this to Discord. I had it fixed in it, but I guess it didn't save all the way. So it's like falling over here, but I'll fix it. So, okay, what Netflix added, because like I said, there's nothing here that's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, right? But there were added things, including Mackenzie and her parents speaking, and also including her friend speaking. They even tell us in the documentary, because some of the detectives were also interviewed. Netflix literally interviewed so many people, and the people that they didn't interview, they used public accessible interviews that they were able to show clips from. So Mackenzie's first boyfriend, Dom's mom. Does anybody know? Is Dom's mom healthy? I don't want to say okay, right? Oh wow, look at that, 2037. I was right. Well, there you go. My memory served me correctly, like usual. So, okay, so we're going to talk about why I don't think she's getting out in her 15 years. So I thought, let me just tell you now, I guess. So I always thought, you know what? This was a horrible crime, da 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 da. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. I think Mackenzie knows, but all right, this is where, and this is my opinion, what I'm about to say. This is just my opinion. In my opinion, I have to put myself in the mind of a 17-year-old girl who is in love, but infatuated too, right? Like, she's over the top. And Dom is over the top with her, you could argue. We saw this in their back and forth, in their text messages with each other. I've read those text messages. If anyone's interested, just go to my Makenzie Shirilla. Go to like the list. What's it called? Oh my God. The playlist. I couldn't get that out. Go to the playlist and you'll see it there. I read all of their text messages. But you'll see, do you guys remember? Let me refresh your memory, or if you're, new on this, let me tell you. In the very beginning of the text messages span over 2 full years. And in the very beginning, Mackenzie is very much, she is not the aggressor in the beginning. Not that Dom's an aggressor. That's the wrong word. Let me take that back. Dom is less attached to Mackenzie than Mackenzie is to Dom in the beginning, in my opinion. She'll try to like hang out with him and stuff, and he'll just ignore her. Or she'll be like, I was trying to get in touch with you all day. Like, where were you? You never want to hang out with me. And she'll be like, can I come over? And he'll be like, well, maybe later. And then it'll be later. And she'll be like, can I come over now? Can I come over? And then he'd be like, Mackenzie, like, I have to go run to so-and-so's. Well, can I go with you? I could go with you. Do you guys remember the one time she was like, can I come over at 9? Or it was like 9, and he was like 10, Mackenzie. And she was like, okay, what about 9:30? And he was like 9:35 or something. Like, they negotiated it. And literally it was like 9:34. And she was like, is 9:34? I was like, oh my God. So literally in the beginning, she is definitely more into their attachment. And this attachment, in my opinion, is very dysfunctional, right? But you see that it's her at first, right? At first, you kind of, I don't know if any of you felt this way, but at first, I kind of felt bad for her. If you're reading, if you know nothing about the story and this doesn't happen, and we just came across a bunch of text messages and we started reading them, if not everybody, and it's evident in the beginning that you would be like, girl, like if this was your kid or your friend, you would be like, look, there's many fish in the sea. There is no way. Well, wait, Brune. How do I say that? Bruneves. Hi, Bruneves. Welcome. Bruneves. I'm getting there. But listen, Bruneves, I don't know if you went back and you read the very beginning, right? So in the beginning, okay, we see how much control she has at the end. In the very beginning, if it were like your friend, you literally would have been like, cuz, like, he ain't that into you. Like, you need to, you know what I mean? Like, you need to back up a little bit. However, over time, that changes. And by the end, in my opinion, it's a total 360 where there are things that she'll literally say to him, if you do that again, we're done, Dom, we're done. And he would be like, but Mackenzie. So he would try to keep coming back. And even though he was able to tape that fight that they got into, that we could listen to if you guys want, where you clearly see that she is an aggressor in that audio. She starts like banging his door down. She's like, I'm going to break in if you don't let me in. I know, in my opinion, actually, I shouldn't say I know, but it's my opinion that he obviously doesn't freak out back, you guys, because he's the one that's taping it, right? So, and there's no victim blaming here. I'm just calling the shots the way that they are. So, if there was no taping that, I don't know. Could you imagine somebody breaking your door down and you just being like, Mackenzie, I can't let you in when you're acting like this. Mackenzie, I can't let you, like, he was very calm. So And I'm not saying that that can't be real, right? But, you know, we do have to factor in that he's the one that's taking the video. And therefore, if you're going to tape yourself, you know what I mean? So, what do we have? Oh, hi, Marilyn. How you doing? So, what Netflix also adds here, so on top of that, so we do see that 360. Mackenzie speaks from prison, and this shifts the emotional center from what happened to, do I believe her? And I don't know if you guys believed her in this. Let me tell you what she says. And again, I don't think that, you know, this is ruining anything for anyone. She doesn't, there's nothing said in the whole documentary that you're going to be like, oh, thanks for ruining that. At least not in my opinion. But except for the fact that Mackenzie speaks, but there's so many people out there that tell us that already, that was already out there. She, in this, when she speaks, there's a lot of truth, in my opinion, in what she says. However, there's also a lot of self-preservation and self-preservation. That's the word. Okay. In my opinion, there was a lot of self-preservation, and nothing validated that more for me than when she literally stops, looks over at her attorney, and asks him, did I get everything? I was like, wait, what? That also just shows how immature she is still, right? We do have to remember, how old is she, you guys? Like, is she even 21 yet? She might be 21 this summer coming up or something. But like, she's still incredibly young. If she gets out, you know, in 15 years, she could very much get married, have children, you know what I mean? Live out her life. So one of the things that Dom's sister actually brings up in the documentary is, why can't she just serve her time and, you know what I mean, like, get her life together? Because, and Dom's sister literally says, because once she's done her time, she can have a whole family, like a whole family that Dom and Davion aren't going to be able to have. She can have kids. Like, she won't be too old to have children. She will be able to have more than one if she wants. You know what I mean? So she very much could have a life ahead of her. The problem is, and this was pretty much a consensus from most of the people they interviewed, and even from people that, you know, online that were talking about it after, she doesn't really take accountability, you guys. She still, she doesn't take accountability. Not at all. Not in my opinion. So she's still doing the whole, I just don't remember. But I don't remember. Millie, hey. Millie, you're going to love us, Millie. We're pretty cool over here. And we're so, like, all-inclusive. So welcome. Millie, what did you think about this? Did you get to say it? Millie, was your mind changed at all? Marilyn, did you say it? Did your mind change at all? Anyone's? Cuff you, did yours? You know what I mean? I'm interested to see what people thought. If she were to do her time, and I don't even know that she would have to say completely, like, her thing is, why would I admit to this horrible thing if I don't remember it? Right? Her is her mother. Oh my God, you're so right. Yeah. And let me tell you something. Yes, Millie. Millie makes a great point. Didn't her parents, I should be pulling this up on chat. Let me do that. I don't know why I don't do that more. Didn't you guys love when Davion's father said her parents aren't doing her any favors at all? That was 100% true in my opinion. I think if her mom and dad were like, look, Ken's, like, whether, you know, you meant to do this or you didn't, or it was a split decision or whatever the case may be, you did this, you need to own it, and now you need to do your 15 years, and you know what I mean, like, work on yourself while you're in there, maybe get a degree so that when you come out, you have something that you're interested in as far as a career and stuff like that, but get your life together and grow up, right? So here, the opposite happens in my opinion. She doubles down on the fact that she has POTS and doesn't remember. And I do think that it's pretty convenient, right? That it is pretty convenient that her mother, it was so, I think it was ironic too, how the mother, in one hand, it's pots can make you pass out, da, 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 da. And then on the other hand, when she's asked in court, well, if that's the truth, you didn't have any, like, you know, reservations about her driving. Like, if she could just pass out at any time, why were you like, let's go get your license now? You could also say that it's hard not to get a 16-year-old or 17-year-old, however old you have to be in your state to drive. It's hard to tell them, like, oh, you're just not driving. But if I'm correct, her parents bought that car and stuff. So even if Mackenzie, like, got her license behind the parents' back or something like that, do you see what I'm saying? So you can only do so much. You can only drive a car that you have access to. So if she doesn't have access to a car, she's not driving it. She is very forceful, as far as, you know, they even show in the documentary, High Truth, they even show in the documentary how when she's in beauty school and she wants Dom's mom to come in as her client, and the teacher's like, Mackenzie, you know that's like a privilege, right? And Mackenzie's like, yeah, no, it's not. We paid for it. She's like, that's my right, and I'm just letting you know that tomorrow I will be having a client. That shows not only immaturity, right? But that shows a big sense of entitlement, in my opinion. She felt entitled to not only have a client when she wanted, but she felt like it was okay to speak to her teacher that way. And part of that could be because she spoke to her mom like shit when she wanted to as well, right? So she spoke to Dom like shit when she wanted to, right? Or, you know, any of the other girls at school. Her dad, do you guys remember when she would be like, Dad, make me hot milk. Not can you please. Make me hot milk. Do you guys remember that? Or warm milk? That was so weird. She would be like, Dad, are you awake? Dad, can you make me warm milk? It was so strange. And he would be like, sure, Mackenzie, I'll be right there. Crazy. I would love to know if she had ever passed out from POTS before. So this is the thing, Cuff You. I do think that there was a medical record of it, as far as, at least that's what the mom says and stuff. And why would they say that? Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess people do lie on the stand. But my thing is, like, why say that a doctor diagnosed that if they didn't? My thing is this. Why didn't her defense team call a doctor to the stand and ask questions? Or did they, and, you know, not call them to the stand at court, but, like, did they interview and they just weren't getting the responses they want, right? So I'm not sure. I don't know. Is that grounds for an appeal later? If she could say things like, I never had the opportunity of calling an expert, and they, you know, my defense attorneys never called any doctor, let alone my doctor that diagnosed me. So I wonder if any of that can play into it. And I don't claim to be the legal expert here. Maybe Travis will hop in at some point, or if any of you have a legal background, please let us know how that would work. So wait, hold on, it just went too far. Oh wait, I'm doing it over here. I gotta stop looking at the phone. Okay, so let's see. Millie says she was told that it was okay to be an ass. That's right, by her parents' reaction to her behavior. That's right, Millie. So, right, you guys, you don't have to say it's okay to be an ass. Your reactions can say it to her behavior, which is what Millie's saying here. So even when the parents didn't say no, not doing anything showed that she was able to get a yes out of them. And I think it was Fancy Nancy. I'm trying to find it. But Fancy Nancy said something about the parents. Oh, here it goes. Because her parents never told her no. Isn't that the truth? And the thing is, when they did tell her no, Fancy Nancy, no wasn't an answer for her, right? She would be like, okay. Just like with the teacher tells her no too. And she was like, I'm just going to let you, wait, what did she say at the end before she walks away? She's like, well, I'm just letting you know that I'm having a client on Monday, and then like walks away. I was like, what? I would never be able to talk to my teacher like that. Right? Wait, what are you guys saying here? Oh, wait, I have to look over here. I got to stop doing that. So driving with POTS. Oh, thank you for telling us what it means, Cuff You. So you guys, POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I'm good at sounding it out. I'm good at hooked on phonics. I was like the kid who like Santa Claus brought them hooked on phonics for Christmas. It sucked. I got hooked on phonics all the time, and I would be like the books that you had to fill out, and I'd be like, my friends didn't get this. Like, why am I getting this? And my mom would be like, oh, Jamie, stop it. Jamie, stop it. That's what she would say. But now I can sound out, so maybe it worked. Maybe I need to thank her for getting me hooked on phonics. I don't know. So it depends on how heavily the symptoms are. So that's another thing. You know, the mom says that she had it well controlled, but can you say on one side that it was well controlled, and then on the other side say that I think, you know, it was medically induced? Oh, that's pretty much, you guys, what she says, right? That's what she says. So they ask her, they straight out ask her, and she says, well, I don't remember. But she then says, oh, what's the word she used? She says, because they said, well, what do you think happened? And she doesn't say, I think I had a medical emergency. She says, oh, does anybody remember the word she used? In other words, I'm paraphrasing. Like, in other words, that's what they say, pretty much. Like, they're saying that it was a medical emergency. So not like I think it was a medical emergency. It was more like, well, that's what they're saying, like that it probably was a medical emergency. So I was like, wait, what? Oh my God, Drip Drop was featured in it. Not that like he wasn't like interviewed, but they showed a clip from when he was like, Mackenzie's too pretty to go to jail. I was like, not for nothing. I did feel like that gave him a little bit, like that was, he did a lot of work where he's trying to be on Mackenzie's side. And I felt like of all things, like they probably should have done something different where it showed that he really was trying to fight for her, but whatever. So here, some of the other new things that we see here is that it's not automatically bad, but it's powerful. So we're talking about her speaking. Media literacy moment here, you guys, because we all know about me and media literacy. I'm all about it. So a polished documentary can make old evidence feel newly uncertain. Let me say that again. A polished documentary can make old evidence feel newly uncertain. I'm going to give you an example real quick. And it was effective, in my opinion. Do you guys remember the TikTok, I'm the one you die for? You guys remember that one? They played it in court to show her character at her sentencing. They showed in the documentary last night that not only, and I think that her defense did her an injustice in this sense, but they literally showed last night in the documentary, like Rosie says, you guys, like I post on TikTok all the time. She's like, and me and everybody else I know did that TikTok. It was like a trend. And they go on and they start showing. So then they'll have Rosie's, and then they had another person. And next thing you know, there's like all these people doing this TikTok trend. And once they did that and put that on the screen, and Rosie says, and they didn't, I don't know why her defense attorney didn't point this out either, but Rosie even says, you guys, look, this was over a year before the accident. They made it sound, in my opinion, at court, as if like she did this either right before or like after type thing. Like they made it seem like it was very new. It was not new, you guys. It was over a year old, okay? And I do think that there's a distinction there, in my opinion, right? Don't you think? So, you know, once they showed that piece of evidence, I feel like the whole courtroom was like, including the judge. But I feel like, I don't know about that now. Like now that I saw that it was a TikTok trend, I bet you, I meant to ask my daughter, but I bet you Gianna did it. I'm going to have to ask her. I bet you she did. I would not be surprised if she was like, oh yeah, everybody did. So then my thing is, oh, the other thing was, do you guys remember how the prosecution said that for Halloween she dressed up like a corpse. Well, Dom's dad, like, and his sister, like, how dare she dress up like a corpse, da 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 da. So in other words, they clearly get that narrative from what the detectives say. But then they talk to Bubba and Rosie. Are they still together? Does anybody know? Weren't they boyfriend and girlfriend? Does anybody know if they're still together? But they talk to Bubba and Rosie, who say that, who was it? Cardi? I don't know. I forget the whole name, but it was one of the artists that her and Dom were into. Cardi something. That it wasn't a corpse. It was, and then they show Cardi, and then they show like Mackenzie, and it's like the same face makeup and stuff. So I was like, like it had the defense pointed that out. And there was evidence that not only she liked this person, but so did Dom. You know, you could have made the argument as a defense attorney that these are all things, even her going, like when they showed her going to the concert and they made it seem like, you know, she's not home grieving, she's out at a party, she's out at a concert. You could have also argued that to say she was obsessed with everything Dom and everything she was doing was Dom related. Also, did you guys notice, like, let's take Corey Richins, for example. The Corey Richins case, right? There's no video that I know of or that I'm aware of, not even at her sentencing, where she's like hysterically crying about whatever happened. I feel like you do see that with Mackenzie. I think it's self-serving, in my opinion, but you see it. So they show you in the documentary, which I did not see this before. Does anybody know who the person was that was doing it? But they were doing, what's it called? I want to say witchcraft. I forget what it's called, you guys. But it's when they like get the chain and it like writes something or it goes in a circle or anyway, the guy's doing this and he's like L-O-V. And as he's like doing L-O-V, she's hysterical more and more. And she's like, I love you too, Dom. Or no, I love you too, Nug. And they also said that for the first few months, she only ate the snacks that he ate. They showed you like the shrine that she had of him. She only wore his clothes, which voodoo. Thank you, Nancy. They showed you, you know, the shrines that she had of him. So, but this is the thing. Can two things be true? Could she have been like not obsessed clinically? Could she have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Infatuated? Intensity. I feel like we see that Mackenzie is not very good, in my opinion, at emotional regulation. So, as you know, you could even say she's very emotionally dysregulated, which is why she can go to extremes. Like in the snap, in the matter of a snap, like she could go from 1,000 to negative 1,000 all within like the same sentence. And that ability to reach those intense emotions and not be able to negotiate them and gain control over them is a huge indicator of somebody who, well, there's a couple things that could be happening here, and I'm not diagnosing her, but I do see the behavior of emotional dysregulation, in my opinion, and I think we could all say that too. I mean, she's like trying to break his door down. Now, you could also say, I always say that two people dance together, so I am not saying that her parents, Dom's family, I think everybody, it was the way that everybody interacted together. So I don't think that like, you know, I don't think that like Dom's at fault or his mom's at fault or anything like that. And I don't even think that her mom and dad are completely at fault either. I think that it was how it all mixed together. And I think when you look at the whole picture, it's almost like, how can you not get a Makenzie Shirilla? Do you know what I mean? Even like how Dom, think about this too. Dom was still young, right? I mean, he was like, what, 4 years older than her, but he was still young, and his mom's a lawyer, and God bless her. She was able, she was able to buy the house right next door to her. And apparently Dom's brother, Christopher, who I absolutely adore, when we watch the body cam videos, you can see why. But he suffers with severe mental illness. He tells us about it in the body cam videos, that he has paranoid schizophrenia, and that sometimes his hallucinations and delusions come in the way of his relationship with his brother and other family members, but in particular with Dom. So him and Dom they were not able to like live together in a sense where Christine, Dom's mom, felt it was safe for either one of them. So Dom moves next door. So he's still there. It was almost as if they like doubled their property, but there was enough space in between Dom and Chris that Dom could lock his house door, or he could go sit in the living room and not worry about having a confrontation with Chris. And whether whoever's fault it was, neither here nor there, but just the fact that it was a way that Christine felt she could still have her family around her, but split them up so that one didn't get in the way of the other, no matter which way it went. The problem with that is, and we always say, right, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Even if the intentions were the best there, the reason that might have been a disservice, if you will, is because I think it allowed for, it made it easier for Mackenzie to move in my opinion. It made it easier for her to call him a million times in a row. It made it easier for her to tell him, we're not going to dinner. You're not going to dinner if you don't open this door, right? So, I mean, there's just so many things that I think had a parent been around even for, half of the time, he definitely went to his mom's to eat and stuff. But if you guys remember from the documentary last night, they asked his family, did you ever see this side of Mackenzie? And the sister literally was like, never. And the dad, never. So she clearly, that goes to emotional regulation, actually. I just made a huge connection for myself. You guys, think about that. Not always, most of the time though, she was able to regulate emotion enough in front of the family members that they didn't know or see that side of her. On the other hand, I do remember we read Dom's mom's text messages and stuff, and then we listened to Dom's mom's interview. It was her and Angela with the police department. And I do remember her pointing out times where Mackenzie was just, too much. The one time they were going on, what was it? They were going white water rafting or something, and Dom's mom had all the snacks and the this and the that, but apparently none of the things she brought Mackenzie ate. So Mackenzie made Dom go buy her stuff before they went, and here somebody forgets to take it, and she pretty much ruins the whole day type thing over it. So I do know that, and there's another one, you guys, we're going to learn. Let me keep going here, and then we'll get to that. Okay, so let's keep going. Evidence and versus interpretation. So we have hard data, narrative claims, and the psych lens that I brought up before in the a few slides ago. I go into it a little bit more here. So if we look at the hard data, this is stuff like the speed, right? They said that she went approximately 100 miles an hour. The impact, there's video of it. The vehicle data, so that black box. Toxicology, which came back that she had smoked weed at some point, but that she wasn't high or drunk at the time of the crash, and that we're going to see conviction records. They're all the hard datas. She's never been convicted of a crime before this, as far as I was able to find. Narrative claims shift because when we talk about the hard data, we're literally talking about factual information. Even if it's not real, it's factual in the sense that it's documented, right? The narrative claim is different in that we have, for Mackenzie, she's still going with narrative loss. I don't think that's going to look good on her when it comes time to, sit with a probation panel. Do you? Do you guys think so? I feel like they're looking for someone to take accountability and then have remorse and to make, steps to show that you're remorseful and that you've changed as a person and that you're no longer a threat to anybody in society. And I feel like, although in her point is, if I really don't remember, why would I make up a story just because everybody else wants to hear that? If it's true and she really has no memory, I agree with that statement. The problem with it is, I don't think it's true, in my opinion. There's many reasons why. One, because, and Dom's sister points this out last night, the way that that road is that she went down, it's not just straight. Although it kind of looks straight when we're watching it, when they pan out, it's like very curvy. If she would have just passed out, one, wouldn't her foot have been less pressure, not more? I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm not a nurse. And two, how would she have been able to control the car enough to go like around the S's and then to go straight and hit? Or could you say that she didn't control the car and that's why she spins out? So I feel like it depends. You could like argue this more than one way, and I'm interested to see what you guys say. He always had money anywhere oh yeah. Oh, so that was another thing, Truth. So one of the points that her best friend brings up last night that I thought was actually a good point, and I've always said this too, is that she already had her outfit out that she was going to wear for her birthday dinner, right? And they already had like plans. They were making plans. It was right around the corner. Again, could it be true that she had plans and had all intentions of doing those plans, and in a split moment, that she lacked emotional regulation, which ends in this accident? I always said from the very beginning that she reminds me of my cousin, Adele. I love Adele. We best cousins. Unfortunately, Adele has passed away, from complications of addiction. Let's say it that way. Because she wasn't high, but it's a whole story. Anyway, when we were younger, and not just when we were younger, even growing up, and Adele would tell you this, she was very volatile in the sense that like she could control her emotion when she wanted to, and she also could flip the fuck out when she wanted to, right? And like when I'm telling you flip out, like she had the ability, very impulsive, Fancy Nancy, but she also had the ability to like say things that were hurtful. Thank God she never went below the belt with me, but I seen her do it like with her mom, like people that she like loved and people that took care of her. So, and I don't want to put it out there, but like she would say like mean things, like no wonder dad left you type shit that you don't say. And this is the parent that stuck around, like wrong parent. You shouldn't be saying that regardless, but that wasn't the right parent to say to if you're going to say. But she knew that it would hurt, right? So she had that ability. I also saw her do things very impulsive in the sense of where she was like, if you don't do this now, I'm going to do this. And she would do the things that she said. And sometimes they were over like off the wall. Down to like, I will take this whole bottle if you don't like off the wall things, and impulsively would do it in the moment. And then later on be like, yeah, whatever. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, I had no ability to control that, da da da. It was just like, well, they shouldn't have done that. She's the one. Do you guys remember? I love Adele. Do you guys remember when I told you she stole from Macy's and we were teenagers and her mom, like this was after her punishment. It was the first night she was allowed to go back out. And her mom's like, Adele, she's like, tell cousin Jamie that, and she's like, tell cousin Jamie, what did you learn from this? And she straight looked at me and went, oh, Macy's has way more cameras than you would expect. So don't bring anything to, and her mother was like, what? Like, so, but she knew what her mom wanted. She just had the balls to say stuff like that. Like, she said and did things that like other people would be like, what? And it was funny sometimes, but it was also intimidating, and it was mean a lot of the times. And I feel like Mackenzie reminds me of my cousin, and I don't know if it's me and my cousin were so close. Like you guys know, I always try to understand and reflect on what is it about this case in particular that I feel a connection to. And we've talked about, my connection with the other cases, like with grooming, we talked about that. But my connection with Mackenzie, I'm like, what is it? Like, I couldn't really put my finger on it. And I think that that's my finger that I could put on it. She literally reminds me of my cousin, who I love dearly, who I lost, but who I knew better than anyone. And I feel like I see the exact same behavior patterns when I'm watching her stuff. And I feel like whenever I've made not an educated guess about her behavior, I would do it with my cousin in mind. And every time I've done it, it's been the way that I perceived it to be. So I'm sticking with that. So last night, that documentary did nothing for me as far as changing my mind either way. With that being said, and this is just my opinion, nobody come for me, because you guys could have your opinion too, and we could all have different ones. I personally don't see her as like a murderer. And you guys are going to come for me for this, whatever. I do see her as somebody who had a lack of impulse control. And again, you guys have to remember, before the age of 24, you already have a lack of impulse control, problem solving, and decision making. So all of that is already underdeveloped in the brain to begin with. But then if you have like a personality where like after 24, my cousin, she was better able to control herself and stuff like that. But at that point, it became more targeted and intentional. So that's how it changed. And I believe that had Mackenzie and even now, like as she gets older, I believe that we're going to see, in my opinion, that she's going to become more intentional, right? And that with those intentions can come like manipulation and stuff like that. And we have to look at her environment now. How does her environment play into the personality that she develops in her adulthood? Not develops, like you always have your personality, but I mean that she carries into, is the better phrase, into this adulthood. So that all falls under her narrative. The lack of remorse, in my opinion, was like palpable. That was probably not the right phrase. But anyway, you guys know what I mean. But her lack of remorse was absent. Absent, that would be a lack of. Oh my God, you guys, I'm just hitting them out the ballpark today. Babe, can you do me the biggest favor? Could you get me water, please? I love you. We're talking about Mackenzie. And then identity repair, right? So relationship explanations and identity repair. I think that trying to explain her relationship with Dom, I think that, there were, not that anybody's doing this like on purpose, although maybe her mom is, I don't know, but they pointed out how it was both ways and stuff like that, and how it went both ways. The difference is she winds up following through with whatever claims or whatever threats she allegedly made. Now, one of the biggest things from last night, you guys, we're going to see is what her mom eventually is now filing an appeal for, which I caught from the very beginning. And I almost feel like, where was mom? Thank you. We all caught this, not just me. Like, I believe all of you caught it with me. It wasn't like, but I caught this right away. I was like, why didn't anybody bring this up? If you guys remember, if you go back and watch the, where I do the narrative of the text messages, I say it multiple times. Like, I'm like, wait, where's the defense? Like, why didn't anybody like clip this for the defense? Like, there's multiple parts. And one of the biggest ones was the prosecution uses in their argument that 2 weeks before the accident, Mackenzie threatened to run Dom off the road and like be done with them. And the truth is, if you read the text messages, it was the other way around. So, and in court, they go with the narrative that she's the one that threatened their lives. And they go with the whole thing of how the mom tells her to pull over, his mom, and she sends the friend to go pick them up. However, wait, what did you say? The defense should have objected. Yes. I guess that's my thing. Like, is that a failure? It is, in my opinion. Because if you read the text messages, you would have seen that, and I'm talking about like the judge and stuff and the prosecution or the defense. If you read the text messages, you clearly see that it was the opposite way. She literally then, not only does she have a conversation with Christine, his mom, about it, she has a conversation in the future about it, and She says stuff to Dom about it through text messages. She literally is like, you know, how am I supposed to feel with somebody that just tried to take my life? And, you know, you tried to run us off the road. You tried to take my, and she says it multiple times in the text messages. And I'm like, how did they get that so wrong? Like, not only did they not bring that up, but they bring it up and flip it and make it seem like she's the one that does that. So I'm curious to think, yes, ineffective counsel. I agree. Now, could it just be, and this is the thing, you guys, wasn't he paid? I was just going to say, could it just be that he's like a public defender and just has a ton of cases and can't give as much time on, but I think he was paid, right? If he was paid, that's really messed up. And she says that he kept telling her, sorry, I need a drink. That he kept telling her that, you know, Mackenzie, they don't have evidence. There's no evidence, da 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 da. So she said, like, she really was shocked when the judge said guilty. And think about the privilege in that, right? That, like, she wasn't even able to see where she was wrong there. Even last night, she must have been told that she needs to take some responsibility for what she did. And what she takes responsibility for, you guys, is she goes, I think these were like her exact words. I'm not saying I'm not innocent. Oh, wait. I'm not saying that I'm not guilty. She goes, I was the driver of, what does she call it? Of a tragedy, I think she said. I was the driver of a tragedy. I was like, wait, what? Like, that was so, not just general, but puts the blame somewhere else. It's like, okay, well, I was driving, so that's why I'm responsible. And I just don't think that that's going to help her in 2037 when she goes for her first probation hearing. Excuse me. Last, we have the psychological lens. So this is image management, grief and shame, denial versus fear, audience persuasion, and meaning making. This is a big one because you saw a lot of this last night. So much so that Netflix kept in. They did not edit out. She straight stops, looks over at her, because they said, do you have anything else to say? She looks over at her attorney and goes, did we get it all? I was like, wait, what? Like, could you imagine? Oh, Cuff You, it should be live over there already. I go live on, it should be live. It should be live on our live right now, you guys. Should be on Facebook, X, YouTube, Kick, and Twitch. So hopefully we have people in here from other places too. And if you are, welcome. Okay, so, but thank you for posting it too, because sometimes people just need to come up in their feed. The relationship context here, the volatility, there was a lot of volatility, and we can see evidence of this. As a matter of fact, let's look at this volatility. Hold on. Mackenzie. We could even listen to the very last phone call, right? I was going to play the part where she's yelling with Dom, but what about the phone call that just dropped where she's talking to her mom and she is furious because I think it's one of the guards says to her something about, what does she say? You got, oh my gosh. 16 hours ago, I was incarcerated with Makenzie Shirilla. My reaction to the crash on Netflix. Let's see this real quick. Hold on.
Yo, my name's Kat, and if you don't know, I was in prison with Makenzie Shirilla. Don't believe me?
All right, I'll remind you. So, Kat, do you guys...
Yo, my name's Kat, and if you don't know...
Do you guys remember Kat? She was on, I believe, YouTube Streets. Had her on. And she's been on a few places. But she did time with, or was there when Mackenzie was there, and she's going to react real quick to Netflix. It's only like 5 minutes, but let's see what she has to say. I mean, why not? So let's see. So again, her name is Kat, and she was incarcerated with Makenzie Shirilla.
No, I was in prison with Makenzie Shirilla. Shirilla, don't believe me? Hold on, I got you. Let's fact check.
So we got Miss Shirilla here, institution, Ohio Reformatory for Women, admission date, August 31st, 2023, okay. Now we have me, institution, Ohio Reformatory for Women, admission date, April 10th, 2024. All right,
Got that clear. Let's talk about the documentary that just came out on Netflix, The Crash, about Mackenzie, because oh my god, do I have some shit to say. Foremost, I want to shout out Netflix for making it and filming it in a way that is very, very evident to make Mackenzie and her family look like complete dumbasses. When I was in prison with her, it was at the beginning.
Did anybody else feel that way, that they made her family look like dumbasses? I thought that they gave them a voice. I think that if somebody perceives them as dumbasses, that it was more because that's who they are and that's what they're reacting to, more than maybe what Netflix put out there, in my opinion.
Of her sentence. And the Mackenzie that came on to the Netflix was not the same Mackenzie that I witnessed in prison. I am so glad that they made sure to throw that clip in there that shows her lawyer was there with her, because that's the only reason Mackenzie even went on Netflix. Was one, because she thrived for fame even while I was in prison with her. She thought that she was going to be the princess of the prison. And she also went on there thinking that it was going to help her with another appeal that's going to get denied. We understand that. Correct. Let me tell you something. Makenzie Shirilla did not walk around that prison yard with an ounce of remorse. Makenzie Shirilla did not walk around that prison yard thinking about those lost loved ones that she claimed to think about every single day. Makenzie Shirilla walked around prison thinking, how is she going to get in with the cool kids, which in prison, Makenzie Shirilla did not relate to them at all. But as you can see,
What do you guys think about that too, considering that she was considered very popular in her high school?
See by this new Makenzie Shirilla that just popped on the Netflix documentary. She's really trying hard. She's had to get harder. She doesn't even talk the same. The way that she talked in this documentary is not even how her voice sounds. I'm just being honest. She's got a rasp to her voice, and that might be because in there she's starting to do rugs, which I've heard through the grapevine other inmates that she is, which is what it is. It's bound to happen. You're in there for life. When I was in there with Mackenzie, all she cared about was doing her makeup, walking the yard with her one or two friends that were also very similar to her, young girls, social media influencer wannabes, thinking that it was a high school like popularity contest. Now in the documentary you can tell, because it's been a couple years by now, you can see she's been broken down. You can see that she was starting to hang out with the lifers, which are more, I don't want to say institutionalized, but yeah, institutionalized and like harder, I guess you could say, and clicked up with each other. And you can tell just by the looks, and I hate to be like whatever, but as somebody who was in prison and in prison with her, you can tell. Mackenzie's story when she was in, like when I was in prison with her, was that she was high on shrooms when this accident occurred. And it had never came out in any documents that she had gotten her blood tested for the shrooms, because it's hard to test for. A lot of states don't. They showed in this documentary that they sent it to an out-of-state lab to get tested, and there was only THC found. So now, like, girl, I already knew that you were lying, but now it's like you're just making up a huge story with no evidence to even try to back you up. So you look even more guilty. You don't care, like, that you took these lives. She walked around, never saw her cry. Are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh, you guys, I just moved my whole setup so that I was like, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think to put Netflix on in the background? So I just, well, not that I tried, I did. Just relocate it. So by the end of this, I'll put it on. Hopefully we can see Netflix in the background.
I was in there. She walks around thinking she's gonna get out. Now, like I said in this documentary, after her appeals getting denied and stuff, I think it's kind of dawning on her that, baby girl, you're finna sit down. You better get in where you fit in, Shirilla. And Dom
And if you think Mackenzie going to prison was the end of her being in toxic relationships, let me tell you something. She was in like 4 in the short span that I was in there with her inside the prison walls. She thrives for that. She lives for that. And her mom, I'm sorry, Mackenzie was like full-fledged, old enough to know what she did. But her bozo-ass parents fed into this 100%. Even in prison, Mackenzie's batch crazy mother was funding her prison lifestyle and making it as comfortable as possible. Mackenzie had everything you can imagine inside prison and more. All the makeup, all the like limited item stuff that like you have to buy, cash out this, cash out that. Mackenzie had it. Her mom enables her. Her family enables her like no other. They see no wrong. They're delusional. And
Now this I totally agree with.
Mackenzie has to get it from them. And then the saddest part of it all, which is already evident, is like, of course Dominic and of course Davion, both of them. And if you notice, and I can say this as a mom myself, the mothers of either one of them like refuse to be on any of these. But Mackenzie's mother never turns an eye to a chance to be on social media, on a podcast, on a documentary when it comes to Shirilla, because she could care.
I don't know, you guys. That's not necessarily true, right? Because Davion's mom was on there. It was just Dom's mom that chose not to go on there, and the sister went on instead, which I felt like was like speaking for her, in my opinion.
Less about those victims. Mackenzie's gonna have a hard life. They don't have any air conditioning in prison in ORW. It's gonna be a hot summer, and she's got 15, and baby, she's not gonna get parole on that first time she's in there bullshitting. People have told me, it's in her records, her disciplinary reports. They're not gonna give her that. Her victims' families are going to show up. It is going to be shown in her next appeal
Case, right?
that the clip where she is literally asking her lawyer, do you think I did too much? Do you think I don't want to be forcing it too hard? Like, girl, this is an act to you. You're just trying to get out and you're not going to. It's ridiculous. I have so much more like lore and tea when it comes to being in prison with her. But my mind is spinning and I don't want this to be a 20-minute video, so I'll probably make a second part. But that's my take on the Crash Netflix documentary from somebody who was in prison.
Okay, you guys, so hold on, let me put my thing back on. So if that was a look, I did all of that, and oh my gosh, hold on, let's see if we move away a little bit, if I get it in better. But let me just tell you what they're showing real quick. Here, maybe I could like set up like that. So right now they're showing, oh, the mom and dad in the jail. So they were like, do you guys remember when they tell the parents and the mom's like, shut up, and she says it like 12 times, and then she's like, wait, Dom? And she's like, are you serious? And then she's like, you're lying. That's the part that they're showing right now. So that's her mom, and that's her sister, and then her dad sitting over there, and this is the body cam of the police officer. But this is out there, so I think you guys have probably seen this video before. I don't know, you tell me. Let's see, what did you say? Who said she was too pretty for jail? No, not her mom. Crime Circus? Drip Drop said she was too pretty for prison. So we'll see. I picked the most uncomfortable spot to do this, but it's okay. I just want to make sure we have that in the background. So that's her dad and her mom. That's them now. The mom, I mean, she looks great, but you could tell, like, I feel like they both look like they've aged a little bit. And not like, I mean, how could this not age you? So I don't even mean that with any disrespect. They did not interview her sister. So I don't know if she just didn't want to. But then again, Dom's got 7, or he was one of 7 brothers and sisters as well. So, I mean, not everybody wanted to be interviewed, I'm sure. Okay, so next, let's see. Let me go back to real quick this so that I could just go over one or two of these, and then we'll go to, I'll keep telling you what they're saying here. They're just showing like pictures of and videos of Dom and Mackenzie, and they do like a whole segment on how in love they were, or how, and they show all the pictures and videos, not all of them, there's a million of them, but they show a bunch of them. And now this is afterwards, after it happens. That's when the dad, Frank, shows up at Dom's mom. So they're at Dom's mom's right now. They already told the mom freaks out, obviously, calls the dad gets down there in like 20 minutes, and that's Chris, the brother. And that's the police officers telling them what's happening right there. So here we have the volatility of the relationship. So the conflict, you guys, we see them fighting all the time. I mean, whether you read their text messages or you watch, there's so many videos of it. I could, I don't know, do you guys remember the video of Mackenzie like telling Dom off? Let's see. Let's see if we get this one. Is this it? Hi. Oh, you're good. What the hell is that? Oh my gosh. Oh, real quick, you guys, this is what they're showing right now.
Good morning.
Wait, let me share this. Actually, let me just see if you guys are seeing what I'm saying. You're not, so let me put this on. This is what they're looking at right now.
That's Dad.
Oh, they're back to the crash, actually.
Dad.
But this is what I was talking about with the mom, you'll see.
It's the one that was stated
Dom is dead. Dom is dead. Dom is dead. Is that what you're saying? Look at me. Is that what Dom is dead?
She literally tells the cop, look at me. Dom is dead. Like, what?
There's always wait for me to say anything right now, man. This is a serious situation.
Dom, I was saying Dom, maybe it's a different Dom. It could be a different Dom. Might be a different Dom.
It could be a different Dom. Come on.
Turn your radio down. I have one. Turn your radio down. Five, 7 radio. Give me 1 minute, sir. Can you give me the name of the known male that was in the vehicle? Or his first name?
Okay, two things. One, hey, Andrea. And two, Andrea, you know that you're right, but it's definitely my jet engine going right now. Let me see, let me turn off my Discord. Sometimes there's too many things running in the background. So if I can get rid of some of these things, which I just did, we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So, Andrea's absolutely correct, though. So, thank you guys for hanging in there with me. For those of you that do hang in there with me, I do appreciate you. And for those that don't, I get it. Hopefully that, we can fix it soon. My mic is not muting when the video is playing. I wonder why. Well, then maybe I shouldn't show videos because I don't want it to be echoey. I mean, I guess we could also figure out why. Right, so let's see. I might have, who knows, I could have put on a setting by accident. Yeah, look at that. Mic. Oh no, that's for speaker. Hold on. I didn't want to do that. No, I get it, but people will hang up if I do that. So I'd rather just see if it's something small, because you know how sometimes it'll be something stupid that I'm doing. So it could be that. And look, I didn't even know that my mic was down. Okay. Oh, microphone. Hold on. Choose the device for speaking. It wasn't enabled. See, you guys? Let's see. Start test. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. I don't know. I started the test and it's not doing. Oh yes, I think it is. You guys could hear me, right? Let's see. Da 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 da. I think it's working. So let me see something. This is what I'm gonna do just to see if I fixed it. I'm gonna put this back up and then do it, and you guys tell me if it is fixed. If not, whatever, I'll figure it out.
First passenger was Davion. Not sure if you're with the driver's father, but he did just call for your waiting room. Request to speak with an officer.
Yeah, I'm with them now. Davion?
I don't know.
Davion.
Okay.
That's all I know. Okay?
Yeah.
Davion. That's all I know. Okay? All I know is his name is Davion. That's all I know. Davion and Jacob. That's all.
Oh well, you guys are saying that that's way better. Well, not way better. You said that's better. You guys, what do I always say? Well, not what do I always say. What does my husband always say? You just have to be 10% smarter than the microphone. So let's see what happens.
All I know.
Oh my God, did anybody hear that? So apparently he said Jacob at first. He said, is there a Jacob? But we obviously know there's no Jacob. It's Dom and Davion. She just said, I don't know a Jacob. I heard a Jacob, but I don't know the Jacob. Oh my God, stop. Yes, what a nightmare. Oh.
What does social worker tell you guys? Anything else? Okay. Daughter's alive, okay? She's gonna be okay. That's what's most important here, okay? What's that? No, I will. We're gonna keep it that way for, okay? She's getting worked on now, okay? That's all I know. I'm just telling you what I know, okay?
Well, so that's so interesting. So she wants to know if Mackenzie knows. And he says no. And I'm sure she is not looking forward to having to be the one to tell her. Real quick, over here, you guys, they're showing pictures of Mackenzie in the hospital. So that's her. And the mom's talking. Oh, she said, I said, wait, we need to get a lawyer. Don't say anything. So why is this important? Because when Mackenzie gets arrested, literally, she like tells the cop, she's like, don't touch my phone. I was like, oh wow, that was ballsy. And then she was like, we have a lawyer. We need to talk to my lawyer. I need to call my lawyer. And so I think that this explains where that thought process comes from. And now they're just showing TikToks of Mackenzie that we've seen on here before. We all seen the TikToks. I could pull up a few too. But first we have this conflict over here, right? So with Dom and Mackenzie, and then we have the rupture, so the fear breakup language. So Dom, if you don't do this, we're breaking up. Or Mackenzie, we're gonna break up if da 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 da. That's that breakup language. Then there's the repair, right? So this is the contact and the reconciliation. And then the parents pulled into the conflict at the very end, but maybe should have been pulled in maybe a little bit sooner. So here's the thing. If you're in a relationship where the repair part, the contact and reconciliation, this is a cycle and it's not a good one, right? And what starts to happen is you start to reinforce bad behavior. So sometimes the resolution phase or the repair phase is the phase that people feel heard or appreciate it, but that's because they're probably getting love bombed, right? Or having like the best sex or whatever the case may be. The problem with that is that you wind up positively reinforcing, and positive not meaning good, positive meaning added. So you add love bombing, so you add sex, whatever the case may be, which makes it positive because it's added, not good. And then it's reinforcement, meaning that the behavior is likely to continue as a result. So when that happens, it's not only a cycle of DV that we're looking at, but it's also a learned behavior type cycle now too. So just like, you know, phobias are classically conditioned, they're learned. With domestic, a lot of the way the cycle goes is also learned. So and again, this is what do I always say? This is one of the things that makes it hard for the person to leave, because the fear of not knowing what's on the other end of leaving is, right, is often greater. Even if the person you're with is a 10 out of 10 scary, that is often, you know, more fearful than knowing the harm that may come your way for staying, or that will likely come your way. And, you know, it's a horrible pattern of abuse. So next, the text message red flags. So here goes one of their texts. So on July 17, 2022, Mackenzie, I believe it was, I don't know if it was between her and Dom's mom or her and Dom, but one of them says, grab the steering wheel. And then it says, scared, raining, and tried to end her life. The analytic side, right? This supports a history of dangerous vehicle-related conflict claims, but it does not prove that it happened. That's what happened in the crash. And it gives the audience, or all of us, because I'm the audience. So when I say audience in this, know that we're talking about Netflix. So I mean like all of us. It gives us more of a complete behavioral context. So what they're trying to do here, this is information that was shared prior, but not in the same way that they shared it on Netflix, and where now, instead of it being this text that came from Mackenzie saying that she tried to steer the wheel, you know, and tried to end their life, it's now getting flipped, where it says tried to end her life, which would mean him or insinuate him. And this is all alleged. So let's see. Well, there is the real text messages though. So next, real quick, in the psychological lens, when we're looking at attachment panic, this is a big one, and we see this in cycles of DV too. So that threat that I was talking about, and the perceived abandonment, humiliation, and loss of control. So for the perpetrator, and in this case, right, that would be Mackenzie, her perceived abandonment, that's enough. And the same thing with my cousin, when I was telling you, her perceived abandonment often made her feel out of control, right? And humiliated. So now, on an extreme end, so on one end, we're looking at behavior patterns, maybe in late adolescence, early adulthood. On the other end of the spectrum would be something much, the opposite or much more extreme, which could be something like a borderline type personality where abandonment is at the core of that disorder. Then we have flooding, and I'm not diagnosing Mackenzie, I'm telling you guys about behavior patterns and what's on one end of the spectrum versus the other. Over here, they're saying that a couple days after Davion's friends go to the police station and tell the police about their Snapchat history or their Life 360, maybe it was one or both, but they were able to tell the cop that Davion was on his phone at 5:52, I'm making the number up, but like at whatever time, and then it's like, we think that the crash happened at this time because the phone will actually say, like the one time Gianna got into an accident, we got a text message that said to call her, that there was like what did it say, like an abrupt stop or something, or her phone like you know, I forget the words that they use. You guys would probably know because I'm sure it's happened to somebody else, unfortunately. But it let me know that I need to call her real quick to see if she was okay. And sure enough, they did. They got hit. Thank God everything's okay. But it alerted me. So I think Davion's friends are trying to use that same thing here, and they're letting the cop know. No. And the thing that was interesting here is not only, I mean, I'm sure the cops would have figured it out, but I don't think in this moment the cop, like, was even considering that. But he even says, he's like, I have a son now. He's like, and someday, you know, and he actually talks about, you know, getting the service for some son someday and how it's only like $5 a month they tell him or something like that. So then we have flooding. So we have rage, panic, revenge fantasy, all or nothing thinking. This is where it goes into risky. Impulsivity plus vehicle plus conflict can become catastrophic. So, and again, understanding here it's not absolution from guilt. What I'm trying to do is that to show you guys what can happen. And again, I don't know that this is with Mackenzie. I more, like I was saying, I'm thinking of like my cousin and how I would describe that, because I see so many similarities. So if that's what, you know, winds up happening to be, fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But just so you guys know what I'm discussing, in an attachment panic, and think about it, right? We have a perceived abandonment. Perceived just meaning that it doesn't necessarily have to be true. So you could perceive that I don't like you, but that doesn't make it real, right? If I like you and I tell you I think you're cool, if you perceive that I think you're an asshole, then you perceive that I think you're an asshole, even if it's not true, right? So I think that's the word here that we really need to look at, is perceived abandonment. So whether the abandonment is real or not, it's that perception. And then with the flooding, the revenge fantasy, you guys, think about this, right? So think about when Mackenzie says things like, or even Dom, they both say to each other, like, you know, I'm done, da da da, and they both take things to the extreme. Both of them have done this. You could see text messages where Dom pretty much says he's like ending himself type thing, and she gets scared and she's like, Dom, if you don't answer, I'm calling your mom, and da 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 da. So we have that panic again, right? And with an attachment panic, think about the times, and you could say that part of her fears were legit because apparently, allegedly, he, you know, cheated on her a few times, and I think with like friends, which they're obviously not friends if they're doing that, but with people that she perceived as friends. And then if your friend hooks up with your boyfriend, if you and your boyfriend get back together, you're probably not friends with that girl, right? So because you feel like your friend did you wrong, even though you should feel like he did you wrong just as much. But in this case, you'll see that Mackenzie, very much this happens, and she winds up hating the other females. Like, she literally tells us, it's not even alleged, like she tells us in the text message, she's like, I hate it. And she winds up holding on to Dom. And you could say that part of that is an insecurity, even though we see her as somebody that seems to be so secure about who she is and her looks and the this and the that. You know, in my opinion, there's an insecurity somewhere if you're allowing that to continue, right? So if you're, you know, if you're unable to leave because you have self-respect and stuff like that, and I'm not saying people don't have respect for themselves if they say, so that's why I'm trying to like choose my words, but you know, if you don't feel like you could do better, or if you feel like you're going to be worse off, that would give you more of a reason to stay. So that's what, so when I say confident, I mean like confident in your ability to move forward without this person. And you have to remember that by the time the person gets to this point, that other person has told them so many times that they can't do it without them, and that they're nothing without them. And even little things like, let's say you've acquired, you know, new clothes and stuff. Let's say I bought you that new outfit you're wearing right now, and the shoes you're wearing, I bought you for your birthday last year. And now I'm like, I pretty much am pointing those things out. Like, they're pretty much mine. I bought them, as opposed to they're yours. So that takes away even more control and autonomy and the feeling of having your own things, right? Think about the risk here. So think about an attachment panic where she may feel like she's going to lose him again to another friend or another female of some sort. Him threatening to break up, and vice versa, her threatening to break up, same thing, it would pretty much spiral the other one. So you could see how that, at least I could see how that leads to impulsivity. If you're impulsive and you're in a vehicle and there's conflict and you're fighting, you know, somebody might say something like, I'm gonna da 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 da, and I picture my cousin again. And if she said something like outrageous like that, and the person just continued whatever it was she was saying not to do, I'm dead ass serious. I could see her at that age just going 100%, not even thinking about if she would live, and not even caring, to be honest with you. So just making a decision without even thinking about the consequences. And that is my opinion, what I think, in my opinion, happened here. I don't think that this was something she planned from weeks before or months before. I don't think she was like, if I can't have him, nobody can. At least not overall, like where, you know, she thought about it. Maybe in the moment, if I can't have you type thing, nobody will. But not necessarily something over time. And one of my greatest verifications or reasons that I feel this way is the fact that she had, and they talk about it during this documentary, which is playing in the background, you can see here, but they talk about this in the documentary, about how Rosie says, you know, she had her outfit picked out, her designer outfit, she had the place she wanted to eat, you know, that she wanted to have all of her friends, Dom was going to take them, he was going to pay for it, stuff like that. He already bought her outfit, her earrings, her shoes, bag, everything. So it's my opinion that she wasn't suicidal, right? Like she wasn't trying to take herself out. So for me, it was, in my opinion, again, probably more of an impulsive, perceived abandonment, where that revenge fantasy comes in, like that all or nothing thinking. It's this or nothing, like. And unfortunately, who gets hurt there too? The other person, obviously, but even Davion, right, in the background, that, you know, people, even in the documentary, the dad was like, his dad says, why couldn't she just, you know, not take him or say, I can't take you that night or whatever, like. But I think the answer to that, in my opinion, is because I don't think when they left the friend's house that she had even contemplated this yet. In my opinion, this is something that happens impulsively in the moment. So I don't think, you know, I don't think she was like, oh, I shouldn't drive Davion because I might do this. I don't even think it was a thought yet. I don't know exactly what happens in the car or what they argue about or what comes up. Apparently somebody said that they couldn't find Dom for, you know, a few minutes. And even if, he could have been in the bathroom with the runs. But if somebody says, like, we couldn't find, like, you're going to bet that he's going to go through an interrogation by Mackenzie to find out where he was, and then she'll bring up, you know, well, you cheated on me with my friend, so da da da, and that would be like the excuse for it. But she had a hard time moving on, and this is the thing. If somebody chooses to move on from an affair of whatever sort, now, when you're 17, that's probably a sign that this isn't the relationship you should have, right? But let's say you have kids and you're whatever anybody chooses to do, that's on them. But if somebody chooses to move forward together, at some point you have to work through that deceit and stuff, because in order to move on successfully, you have to be able to detach from that situation. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not always going to be a little bit hurt and da da da. Absolutely, you're going to be more cautious, things like that. But do you also see how if you don't resolve some of that or most of that, how that will follow you and hold down you and your relationship? So over here, that I don't remember problem that I have with Mackenzie, and we're going to see that at some point she does. I should fast forward this a little bit so you guys can see what it looks like as we go. Oh, they were just showing her there crashing, and they talk about how excuse me, how the family, that's Davion's sister, and they're just talking about how they saw the crash there for the first time. So I'm just going to go a little bit further because they're still like in the beginning, and we would be here for an hour and a half if not. The next thing real quick, that I don't remember problem, the memory disruption can occur after trauma, intoxication, and injury, shock, or medical events. So this is where I think the defense does a disservice. Wait, let's see. She just said, hold on real quick. She says, give me my shit, dude, or we're going to have problems. Oh, she says, why do you keep torturing me? She says, I told you it's my way or the highway. Oh my gosh, Colleen, thank you so much for gifting them. Thank you. Wow, that was so generous of you. I appreciate you. You have no idea. Thank you. Wow, thank you so much. You guys, she literally says here, why do you torment me? And I mean, it just shows the slide before how I said that intense language and stuff that they use. So to go further, now in this part, the detective is pretty much, you know, trying to lay his argument down of why he felt or came to the conclusion that she did this on purpose. So here, the real thing here, you know, I feel like her defense could have went with this. They could have talked about how she could have, with a better, and I hate to say that, a better lawyer, but with better counsel at least, so maybe not the specific lawyer, but better counsel in the sense of, you know, instead of just saying, I don't remember, it could be POTS, where like you know from the trial that wasn't effective. So maybe go with something else, like about trauma, which she does use at one point. Casey, yes, Casey, thank you so much, Casey. Wow, I love Sundays, Casey. Thank you. Wow, I appreciate you so much. And 11/11, that reminds me of my mother-in-law. So I just got the goosebumps. Thank you guys so much. That was so very generous of you. Wow, thank you. But you guys, she could have went with, now she couldn't have went with intoxication because they did give her toxicology, but the injury, she nearly died. Oh, this is her. That's her, you guys. Hold on. Can I put her voice on for a second? I hope I don't get canceled. I just got 2 gifts, so maybe that'll offset it because I think all of my stuff has been getting demonetized, like the David stuff and all. All right, let's hear it for a sec. Oh wait, I still have it. Mute it. I'm gonna put it up.
Waking up in the hospital the next day and my whole life is shattered.
So she's talking about waking up in the hospital the next day and her whole life was shattered.
People have said that it's convenient that that's all you remember. What would you say to that?
The whole morning is just like nothing, and
So here she goes. She goes back and says, I'm trying to like stop within a few seconds because they'll literally just shut this whole stream down and I don't want that. But here, you guys, so wow, okay, she's going with that whole thing again, and she's got the tears here. Like if you look at it, you know how like a lot of times like with Corey Richens, how we were like, all right, relax, because she was acting like, look at the tissue, but there was no tears. Here you see some tears with Mackenzie, and you see like her neck, like the veins in her neck, and you'll see like the muscles and the eyes and stuff. Which, could it just be for herself? Sure, you could say that she feels sorry for herself. So you could argue this either way, right? But remember, this is where she has her memory gap, and this memory gap could for real be protective of someone's identity, but it could also be to reduce accountability and to manage public perception. So hoping that by saying, I don't remember, that'll, you know, relieve her in some way of accountability. The problem is nobody believes that. So had she said something like, and I don't know if you guys remember, but I clearly remember when she's talking to Dom's mom in the beginning on the text messages, she says to Dom's mom that in therapy, she's like, oh, I just wish I could remember. In therapy, my therapist tell me that this is how trauma works on the brain, da da da. Had she have stayed with that, I think more people could have followed that, because more people also, there's plenty of people out there who have trauma, who forget part of their trauma, because that's a real trauma response. So I feel like other people would have been able to identify with that. This whole, I just don't remember, it was probably, they say it was probably pots. I don't think that's working.
It sounds crazy, but I'm not gonna like lie just because people want to hear a story. I have no recollection of that morning.
So there you go. She's not going to lie because she has no recollection of that morning, just because other people want to hear her say that. So when my husband watched this part, he legit was like, she's like smiling. Like, why is she smiling in this? And I'm like, she does. Like, she goes from crying a second ago to like almost like a contempt smile. It's interesting.
I'm not saying I'm innocent. I was a driver of a tragedy.
There we go. That was it. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I was the driver of a tragedy. What? Like, that's almost like saying, oh, I'm so sorry, Fancy Nancy, if your feelings got hurt. That's not an apology? What do you mean? This was not accountability, Mackenzie. So, and also remember that we cannot infer truth from confidence, tears, flat affect, or I can't remember alone. Okay? So it has to be tested against the evidence. And again, here and does she maybe not realize that her trauma could lead to her not remembering? I would say yes, she knows that because she tells Mrs. Russo that in the beginning. So, you know what I mean? I don't know.
But I'm not a murderer.
She says, but I'm not a, and then they go forward. I want to get to the point real quick when she talks about, wait, she talks again. Here it goes.
And that anyone can see that there was no intent.
How can you come?
So her thing is, you could see how immature she still is, right? She says anyone can see that there was no intent. Well, no, Mackenzie, that's not true, because if anybody could see that there was no intent, you wouldn't be in jail right now, right? So, you know, and there's plenty of people in line that see the intent there too. So I do see a lot of juvenile behavior here. But let's just finish this up, and then that way I can let everybody go on their Saturday.
Any conclusion other than
Wait, let's see. I want to get to the parts where she's talking. Oh, wait, she just talks right there.
Yeah.
And that anyone can see that there was no intent.
Oh, that was the part I just did. Okay, this is where they talk about how they saw that crash for the first time. That was Rosie. Rosie's throughout the whole thing.
Presented the most logical speculation.
Oh wait, this is where she says it. Hold on, you guys. This is her excuse.
Those are all possibilities.
What do you think happened to cause the crash?
Through all the evidence that has been presented, the most logical speculation seems to be a medical emergency.
Okay, does anybody think that she went over that 1,000 times with her attorney? She literally just said after looking at all the evidence, the most logical explanation, the most logical speculation seems to be a medical emergency. Quote for quote. What do you guys think of that? And do you think that she memorized that? Because watch, you're gonna see her attorney. Oh wait, here she goes again.
Blackout with POTS, blackout can happen very fast. If I move a certain way, it just comes out of nowhere. I could just be sitting.
She could just be sitting there and just pass out. I have to stop it because I don't want this to go down.
Like this, and it could hit me.
But take notice as she's saying it, she's shaking her head no, she doesn't even believe it. So that's when her mom talks. I want to get to the part where she looks at the lawyer. All right, here it goes.
How how does a medical emergency account for the control of the car?
I'm unsure. Because I have no recollection of that morning. But
So there you go, you guys. There goes that lack of accountability. He literally asks her what I said earlier, because Dom's sister brings that up and says, it's like an S shape. Like, how do you account for having control of the car until the end if you were passed out? And her answer was, and it seemed like she like thought about it. You know how I always look up and I'm thinking da da da. It looked like that's exactly what she just did, and almost like she was recalling what she's supposed to say, and she literally repeats what she just said, that she doesn't know because she had no recollection that morning.
I know nothing about it was intentional, because that's not my character.
I do feel like she believes that. She said, I know that none of it was intentional because that's not my character. Like, I think she really thinks that, or thinks that part I believe more, whether it's perceived reality or not, than the other. I just want to get to the lawyer part. It's coming up any second. So they're just showing her getting arrested. And they're showing everybody finding out on the news. Oh wait, here it is.
Wanting to be seen.
Oh, wait till you hear what she says here.
At least social media isn't really them. It's how they want the world to see them. And at the time, that's how my 17-year-old brain was, wanting to be seen.
Boom. That was the most honest thing I think she said in the entire interview. So they were talking about that I'm the girl you died for, that video, and they just showed Rosie and a bunch of other people that did the same TikTok trend, and nobody said anything to them type thing. That was the argument. And what Mackenzie said there was that was like the most mature thing she said, and the most reflective thing she said. And she literally said that social media isn't necessarily the person, right? It's what the person wants you to perceive about them. And she literally says, I get my 17-year-old brain wanted people to see me that way. And I was like, okay, well, that, like, if she had more of like this type of attitude, I feel like she would be on the road to redemption more, in my opinion.
This video was made in 2021. You can see the date right there, April 2021.
That's Rosie.
Year.
So that's Rosie, her friend, and she points out how it was made in April of 2021.
Before.
That it was a whole year before. Oh, and then they talk about her Halloween.
Loved Cardi. Like, her and Dom really loved Cardi.
That is what
Oh, so I did get it right. It was Cardi. It's just Cardi. Her and Dom love Cardi. So that was like, so her friend is pretty much saying that that's why she dressed like that. It was like an homage to Dom. Okay, then they show her at the sentencing, and the mom at the sentencing. Send this over. All right, here we go.
every day in here, I try to wake up and be the best person I can be every day, stay out of trouble. There's not a moment that doesn't pass where I don't think about them, or I don't.
Okay, you guys, so there she says that every day, just in case you couldn't hear it, that she wakes up and there's not a day that doesn't go by that she doesn't think about them. But did anybody notice she says there's not a day that goes by that I don't get in trouble and stuff like that? I'm like, that sounds very juvenile. But then I have to remember that she's only 20 or 21 still. But isn't it? Isn't this crazy?
Feel the pain in my chest, but it's still like a void of losing them. And
Okay, there you go. That said it all. I don't know why I didn't. I already said I could watch this multiple times and catch something new. That was very selfish in my opinion. She like literally tells us that pain in her chest and stuff like that comes from how it hurts her to lose them. Like, it really shouldn't be for, you know, her remorse for what she did. And this is the part I think with the
Is
lawyer.
there any last word you'd like to say?
Did I touch on that? Okay, so everything is like you think. I don't want to force anything and just say too much or sound crazy.
You guys, what? I have to show you that again.
Is there any last word you'd like to say?
This part shows
Did
who
I
she is.
touch on that? Okay, so everything is like you think. I don't want to force anything and just say too much or sound crazy. I just want to just make sure that.
So, yeah, that was cringe. So she, obviously her lawyer's there, and she asked the lawyer if she said everything the right way. And Netflix kept it in. So this is the end, what she says here. Totally rehearsed.
Big on the no intent. There was no intent whatsoever there.
She just said, I'm big on there's no intent. So here, this is like her last ditch effort to persuade people. That narrative I was talking about.
I have excessive amounts of remorse for Dominic, Davion, both of their families.
Okay, that part is totally rehearsed in my opinion. She's like, as you shake her hair, I have so much remorse for Dominic, Davion, and their families. Like, what?
This was not intentional, and I will do everything I can to prove that to the world and the families.
And that's it.
And that's it.
That was, I really do have a good memory. She says, and that's it. So that was it, you guys. That was all the Netflix things that you guys need to know. I can't believe we're still on. Probably because there's not very many of us. But, yeah, you guys like officially got to see. If you didn't get to see it, that was like the big thing that, you know, you would be missing if, you know. So the TikTok remorse and image management, she has the posting, the public reaction, and then online behavior can support a pattern but should not replace physical evidence. There's the court lens versus that documentary lens. So what can be proven versus what makes a compelling story? What did the judge find versus, you know, who's at the center? How does the evidence fit a legal intent versus what emotional sequence does the film build here? Then real quick, we have, okay, the audience trap. So this is, in my opinion, how Netflix traps us as an audience. So the first trap, she sounds believable, so the verdict must be wrong. So that's the first trap that, you know, anybody watching this could fall into. The second trap is she looks cold, so she must be evil. So again, do you guys see how people could perceive the same thing as very different depending on their own experiences and things like that? So that, we have to remember that. And then the third trap is the teen brain equals no accountability. That is a trap, right? So like I said earlier, you know, is your brain underdeveloped at that time? Sure, but everybody's brain's underdeveloped at that time. So not having a teen, you know, not having your adult brain at that age doesn't give you a pass to do something and get away with it. I literally tell my students, like, I make a joke about it when I'm teaching it, and I'm like, you guys don't forget, like, don't be doing anything dumb this weekend and saying that you learned in class that, you know, you had a lack of impulse control. So here was discussion questions if we had like other time, but I really went longer than I had intended, so I am going to wrap it up. But where's the line between humanizing and platforming? Did Mackenzie's interview change your view of the intent, remorse, or accountability, and why? So I kind of do want to know what you guys think about that. So did it change your view of anything? And then I wrote, what did Netflix clarify and what did they repackage? And I think we talked about that throughout the whole stream. And then how should true crime handle a convicted person's first interview when victims' families are still grieving? So that's another one. And I'm sure that they were able to get away with this. And again, this is just my opinion, by like not paying her, but that doesn't mean that they didn't pay her mom. Does that make sense? So in closing, Mackenzie speaking is newsworthy. Dom and Davion should remain the permanent center of the story. A documentary can humanize a convicted person without overturning the evidence. Like I was saying earlier, more than one thing can be true. And we owe the victims more than a spectacle. And here goes the references that I use. Let's see. Oh yeah, I put a reminder here because usually my references are, for the most part, like academic and like research based, but the stuff here that I had to go off of, other than the court documents, was like Netflix and the trailer, the actual crash story. So I just put a reminder that documentary narration, media articles, court findings, and extracted texts are different kinds of evidence. So it doesn't mean that they're not evidence. They're just not the type of evidence that, you know, you would normally think of, but they might not be evidence in a court of law. So when I say evidence, I mean more to in the public realm. All right, you guys, so let me come back here. It's dark in here. I need to put some lights on. But yeah, thank you guys for watching that with me. If you guys have any questions, hi Alexa, how you doing? Yes. Lucky it's manageable without having to go to extremes, right? My daughter has been prescribed, oh yeah. Oh, Gatorade. See, now if I drink Gatorade, I just like go that way. I need to like, I don't know, do something. I'm getting old. All right, you guys. With that, have a fabulous Saturday. Thank you for joining me. And I don't usually have like stuff like this. Like you could see decorate. I'm having a graduation party soon, so I have like graduation stuff up. They're not part of like my usual decor. There's a blue one over here, but it doesn't really show here. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to my mods. Thank you to all of the people that joined my membership. The membership's only $1.99 if you want to support the channel. I have to find ways to support the channel, you guys. So even hitting like and subscribe is so helpful. And using your heights. Casey's good at doing that. I do appreciate that too. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.